Well, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us June 11th, 2023, and we're live here at Love 105 FM every Sunday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. In studio today, excited to have friend, fellow agent, team member Bryce Schenke with the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. I've got a great show today. We always welcome your questions, comments, thoughts, wherever you're catching us on social media. Thank you. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. It is an interactive show, and we are live every Sunday morning. Good morning, Scott, Bryce. Welcome, Bryce. Good to have you on, bud.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good to have you on, Mr. Scott. Nice to see you there, young man.
Yep. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like Ryan said, we're going to go live here in about 30 seconds. Love your comments and feedback. So 612-294-6949, or just type in your questions on the feed, and we will handle them as they come in.
Yeah, it should be a good show. A lot to talk about. One of the topics today we're talking about all the changes in the real estate industry over the last 20, 30 years, some of the most significant changes and how it's impacted transactions. So again, we're getting ready to go live on air right now. Again, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us. Good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for joining us. June the 11th, 2023, live here at Love 105 FM every Sunday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. Hope your weekend is going well. Sunday mornings, we're always here for the Minnesota Real Estate Show at Love 105 FM, also on your favorite social media platform, streaming as well. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. A lot to talk about today. Again, it's 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or text. And good morning, Scott Wolmering. Nice to see you, bud.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If this is the first time you've caught us, like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're live and local here in Minneapolis from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Love your comments, love your questions. 612-294-6949. If you want to check us out, go to our website, mnrealestateshow.com, and you'll find out exactly how the team works, all of our incredible partners. And then we've got a new kind of cool tool to get an analysis on your home done. Maybe tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, if you go to mnrealestateshow.com at the top, there is just a button you can click that just says your home value. And it's kind of an ongoing monitor that helps you kind of monitor current market conditions, prices over time. And simple, very easy to use. And again, you can enter your information on there, and it just says your home value right on the top. And again, coming up here in this first segment, we are going to be talking about the market with the inventory levels and how that's impacting home values. Want to welcome on our friend, Mr. Bryce Schenke. Bryce, outstanding agent, longtime friend with the team brokerage. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, Ryan. That sounds like a pretty awesome tool that you have on the website.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. And it's good to have you on, man. It's fun to have you on.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Mr. Mike is off today. Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, again, busy on the home front with the kids and a lot going on there. But we'll talk mortgages too, guys. But a lot going on in the real estate world, guys.
Yeah, we thought we'd have Bryce on because he's the one agent in the Twin Cities that's actually having a really good year. So we thought we'd bring the one agent in that could actually talk about how you're actually having
something positive
in this market. Yes,
which is very true. Which is, it's interesting. We do with our team, we do a fun kind of top producer trip. If a person sells a certain amount, they and the agent and guest.
I'm going to be Bryce's guest this year.
I know.
I'm not going to make the trip, but I'm going to be his plus one.
I don't know if I want to share a room with you, Scott.
Yeah, right, Scott. You could do that. You could be the plus
I'll
one.
be a plus one. I'm putting it out there right now because unlike Bryce, I'm feeling this market a little bit.
Yeah, the market conditions. And again, in this first segment, we do always like to talk a little bit of a market update. Maybe we'll share those numbers first and get some commentary from the guys. Again, these are year over year numbers here in the Twin Cities. New listings, new homes for sale. This past week, down 19%, 1,355 new listings here in the Twin Cities. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements down 19% as well, 1,184. And then the inventory is also down too, almost 6% year over year, 6,915 homes for sale. What's interesting though is prices have remained flat. So prices comparing year over year, the median sales price is at 369,900 here in the Twin Cities. Kind of more to Scott's point, though, if you look at pending sales the last 3 months, just kind of rolling 3 month average, they're down 26.3%, almost 4,000 less transactions in the Twin Cities metro area. People are feeling it, guys.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I mean, Bryce, you can kind of talk about these numbers as well. But the interesting thing is, all year it's been we've been actually had more inventory than we did last year. And people, if we have more inventory, you got to remember that last year we dropped as low as 4,500 homes. So yeah, we got up to 5,500 homes. We were up 6%. I think this is the second week in a row now, and now that we're in June, that we're actually down less inventory than we'd had last year, even though it's a small percentage. Again, very, very few homes on the market, and you can feel it out there, Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, what are the days on market?
Yeah, days on market, which is interesting too. Right now it's 46 days. Last year it was 28. So that increased market time, pretty significant. This whole year has been increased market time. It's over 60% increase this year in market time.
I think that's what I'm feeling the most in the market right now is days on market. And I think that's the hardest for sellers to kind of wrap their head around right now. There's a lot more price reductions that are occurring and things like that, and making sure that your agent is helping you price your home, accurately and be able to drive as much traffic to that home as possible. Definitely seeing in higher price points that's even more important than the lower price points, obviously, because lots of first time home buyers are out there. So we're still with interest rates the way we are, we're still seeing multiple offers in those lower price points. Whereas in those higher price points, you really have to price your home, pretty well within what market value. Otherwise, it's going to sit on the market for a lot longer.
That's right, and a good agent in this market, because it's a really rolling market. What I mean by that is week to week, it can be a strong 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden, like we had a couple weeks ago, interest rates went up at 1.25 points. Everything kind of shut down. Now it's floated down a little bit, but having an agent that is on the numbers if you need a price reduction, to just get it done out of the gate. You don't want to sit around for 60, 90 days like in the old days. That's not the kind of market we're in. If you're priced correctly, in most price ranges, you're going to go. And so you can look at the numbers and say, look, we had 380 people look at your home and not one of them saved it as a favorite. We got a price issue. We don't need to sit around for 2 weeks to figure out if we do. It's right in front of us. We do.
It's hard for home sellers too, I bet. You just think about, hey, we hear about this market, limited inventory, so much demand, so crazy. And then they go on the market price and nothing happens sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. I know I have a listing right now in Inver Grove Heights that, it's priced at $725. And it's one of those things where you're getting lots of showings, a lot of interest, people saying, yep, we're interested in it. And, they just kind of move on. There's more options, I think, available in that range.
In that price range.
In that price range where they're not moving as quickly as something that's maybe in the 200s or 300s or whatever. So, yeah, you really, really got to make sure that you're kind of honing in on that price right out of the gate.
Yeah, from a mortgage standpoint, in this first segment, again, we always do a real estate and a mortgage update. Interest rates still, guys, 6.92, 6.9, 6.94. So they've risen, in the last month. And Bryce, how are you feeling that with your buyers? And are you hearing from your buyers specifically, wow, this is this is how it's impacting me.
Well, it definitely affects the affordability, obviously. I mean, when we were in 2021, you weren't buying a home, you were buying a rate, you were buying that payment. And so now it's a much different story. So when buyers go out and they're looking at homes and they're getting that quote from their loan officer to say, okay, how much is this monthly payment going to cost me if I lock in at today's rate? A lot of them are kind of pumping the brakes and saying, whoa, I don't really want to pay that amount for a payment for this house that I'm looking at.
Sure.
So they're kind of taking their time a little bit more, and they're not putting in offers in as quickly as they were before.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I throw out values the first 4 months of last year. I completely throw those values out. I mean, if you're doing a market analysis and you have to go back a year, I would never use those 4 months to look at a property right now, because even though our median income or our median sales prices stayed relatively tight, beginning of last year it was 384. I think now we're 369. During that 4 month period, like Bryce just said, you were literally buying a payment. And so a $700,000 house at 2.6% is a $350,000 house right now. That's a big difference. It's a lot of house loss, and that's a big payment loss.
I think we're going to find some interesting numbers in the next few months, because a lot of our numbers that we get from our friends at Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors is those numbers that are from that summertime, coming spring into summer in 2022. And so it'll be interesting to see how that median sales price looks here in the next couple of months with that rolling 12, to see how much of a percentage change there is there. I feel like maybe we could possibly dip below, because the prices kind of peaked during that time.
Right. Yeah. Again, you're always welcome to join us here. 612-294-6949. Again, 612-294-6949. Did have a text message come in from Tim just saying, guys, are you getting any VA purchase agreements accepted in this market?
I personally have had a couple accepted, not so much with FHA, but VA has been very fruitful for me. I had a couple of clients this year get it, and they were in a maybe not so much a first time home buyer price range. They were more in that 500,000 area.
Yeah, I mean, that is the good news about a market like this, where it is a little bit slower. And again, I want to make sure when we say it's slower, we're not talking about 2008, 2009, where you had one showing on your house every 6 months slow. It's just a little bit slower than it was, obviously, the first 6 months of last year, where everybody was scrambling to get at that rate. So still very, very fast moving market. So it's good that way. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I was predicting at the beginning of the year that we were going to have a really, really strong end of summer into fall. And it just really, I think, is a lot rate dependent right now. People are freaked out about, just having to jump up another point.
Random note, guys. This is the season of graduation parties.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking about it. We've been to a couple graduation parties, and Scott, at my graduation party, I had like 3 people there, and that included my siblings.
I was going to say, your extended cousins, your siblings.
I was thinking about going out for a drive on the weekends and looking for those graduation signs, like
right,
Tim's party this way, and just like showing up randomly and getting some
right.
lunch, out of the deal, and bring them a card and say, hey, congratulations.
You know what? My mom is a longtime listener and watches the show occasionally. I always joked with Mom, we would be a good tandem. Like if you needed to hire someone to show up at parties, like say like at my party, I got like 3 people and everyone's kind of standing around. You're like,
well, those 3 people though were introduced to each other by you, so they absolutely knew each other by the end of that party.
No, but Mom and I would be kind of like the people at the grad parties that they go around just to talk to everybody. Hey, Bryce, I don't know if you met my friend Scott here. Kind of
that is totally you.
You know what I mean? You could hire us for the parties, Bryce. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea. I always do love it when you introduce me to the same person 5 or 6 times. So it's always fun.
Hey, we're up against our first break at the Minnesota Real Estate Show, 612-294-6949. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. It is the season of graduation parties. Congrats to all the graduates. Congrats, Mom and Dad, Grandma and Grandpa. Well done. We'll be back after the break. Grad party season it is. Thanks for joining us on social media, wherever you're seeing us. Today we got somebody new in studio, Bryce. We got a phone call or two as well. Maybe should we put him on hold and take him through the break? Well, JoJo's always like, what's going on here with these random callers? Bryce, what do you think, man? What do you think about the market?
I'm optimistic about the market.
Yeah.
I think that it will improve here coming into fall. I kind of feel like fall will be a strong fall for us.
That's what I felt all year. It's
Yeah.
just that when this last kind of rate jack happened, it kind of shut down again. On the flip side of that, I think if we drop into the fives, I think we're gonna have
Oh
really,
my God,
I think
that's
we're gonna have
gonna
a
be
really
phenomenal.
strong. Yeah.
It is interesting. Scott, in the first segment, we were talking about agents, and a lot of agents, again, with 30% less transactions, not having as good of a year. Bryce, if you look at a lot of your transactions, many first-time home buyers, have you had many this year
Yeah, I would
or
say
more than normal?
I would say probably 30% of my clients this year have been first-time home buyers. So
Yeah.
a good chunk,
Yeah. So
considering.
that's part of it. What we've been saying is a lot of it is new business.
Well,
These new buyers.
that's positive too, because that was the frustrating thing. Frankly, the last 3 years was trying to get a first time home buyer, and I was literally having to get parents to gift 20% down. And just for them to be able to even compete to get a house. So it is kind of nice to see a little bit of a slowdown, so that the first time home buyer can jump back in and actually get something.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think that's encouraging too, from a first-time homebuyer standpoint, to see people actually saying, "Look, let's buy our first home.
Yeah.
Let's get out. Let's move out of mom and dad's. We've saved up enough money." But like you said, Bryce, FHA wise, just tough. I mean, I see both of their heads shake in studio here. Help people on that. Thoughts?
I think there's just a misnomer about the FHA loan. I think a lot of agents out there are concerned about the appraisal. I think that's a big thing. And I think work orders are a huge thing. I think that, people look at the house and think, oh, well, there might be A, B, C, and D that needs to be done in the home before, the mortgage is going to happen on it, And so I think a lot of sellers are concerned about that.
Yeah.
Well, and it all comes down, I always tell my sellers, it always comes down to, what position of power do we have during offers? I mean, if we have one FHA offer and we've been on the market for 30 days, we're going to work with the FHA offer.
Absolutely.
If we have 15 offers and we have, 10 conventional and 5 FHA, we're not going to work with the FHA.
I wonder, have you guys seen, I have not heard of it. Have you seen any assumption of FHAs?
I've not heard of it. I mean, we were talking about it
Last week.
excuse me, talking about last week, and it would have been a very smart move for like a cash buyer to have gone in and got a 2.5% or done an FHA offer, but say we're cash, just like the FHA. If we have an issue with it, we'll just buy it in cash, so the seller doesn't freak out.
Sure.
But then you'd have a 2.5% rate on an FHA. Now, if you're selling that house you bought for $400, and the exact same house right now is selling for $500, could you sell it for $550?
Yeah.
Sure, you could.
Well, you could.
Well, yeah.
Here we go. We're going back live on Love. Welcome back to Love 105 FM. Appreciate you joining us on social media or live on the show. It is graduation party season. It is the summer for the real estate market here in Minnesota. Things are heating up. It's Twins season. You've been to a Twins game recently?
I did, and I'm actually going this week too on Thursday.
You are?
Yeah, they have my style of music afterwards. There's a T-Pain concert right after the game, so I'm looking forward to
What is that?
on that. He's a rapper.
Yeah, what is that?
T-Pain?
T-Pain. He's a rapper. I
Joe,
listen to a little rap, country, a little bit of everything,
a little. Yeah, that is fun. We had a comment here. Paulo, outstanding agent with the Minnesota real estate team. He commented on social media, said, guys, is it true that the FHA appraisal oftentimes comes lower than conventional? Any thoughts on that? I have some.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think if you took 100 appraisals that were conventional and 100 appraisals that were FHA, and they were all pushing the envelope on price. You might have one or two that are going to be low on a conventional. You might have 20% that are low on FHA.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is there's no skin in the game. When banks look at their risk analysis, if one person has 20% down and the other person is doing minimum down FHA 3.5% and maybe asking for closing costs paid by the seller, there's a little bit more risk for the bank because there's not as much money in.
Yeah.
I just find in general that oftentimes with appraisals, it's rare that they do come in low. It does happen every
Sure.
once in a while, but I find that either if it's conventional, FHA, veterans, whatever it might be, it usually comes in where it needs to at value, and it doesn't come in low that often.
It doesn't. And frankly, you know how I feel about appraisers. I've been open on the show for many years about them.
Yeah. We have a call though.
Yeah,
No,
you do.
no, I'm kidding.
We have a call. So I won't get into it, but I'll just make this point. If a house sells for $600,000 and you are an appraiser that comes in and appraises it for $595, shame on you. You're not that good. You're not. I mean, to come in $5,000 low on a $600,000 house, that's just putting a monkey wrench in the deal because you want to be looked at as an incredible appraiser. Nobody's that good.
Hey, we did have a caller during the break. Thank you, Jojo, for taking the call. The caller just wanted to know about activity by real estate investors, corporate firms that are buying single-family homes here in the Twin Cities. What are we seeing on that front? I'm seeing a lot less of it, a lot less of that activity from an investor standpoint.
It was huge back in 2007 through like 2011. I forgot the big group that came in, or they bought thousands of homes.
Well, and again, a lot of the companies too, from the guaranteed offer, the big, the open doors of the world, not engaging in that
You
as
hardly
well.
see any listings.
Well, they got killed.
They lost a
They
ton
lost
of money.
a ton of money.
Right. And so I think that market, it's interesting because from an investor standpoint, we're seeing rents rise. We were at last night, Cecilia on our team, a wonderful agent. She had a birthday party downtown, and it was at, what's the name of the building, Scott? The Lark or
The Lenski, Larsky.
No, it's not.
Samsonite.
Anyway,
like
it's
that.
downtown. But anyway, I was talking to some of the residents. I mean, all the rents are $2,400, $2,500.
Oh, that'd be for a one bedroom.
So that's why those people are buying. They're saying, look, so from an investor standpoint, to your question, I guess the rental market is still, there's a strong rental market, and so there's still investors purchasing. Just I'm not seeing these big corporate companies.
Well, there are some companies out there that are purchasing homes and then renting them out to specific people, and they have an option to buy at a later time if they want to. But those companies are still buying up single family homes quite often. They pay cash for them. They find a renter and they stay in there for a period of a year, and they can renew if they want. They have the option to buy it at a specified price, or they can move out and go find something else, and then that company just re-rents it. So
Right.
I am seeing those types of companies out there more often.
Yeah, there's like a home partner.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Is one that Bryce is referring to, where they will help people from a contract for deeds standpoint who maybe they have cash. Hey, I got 20 grand or more or whatever, but my credit's not in line to purchase it, to get a loan with someone like Mike Overson. So I can't purchase the property, but they use this home partners who's kind of just like a big investor.
That's right.
They're just a deep pocketed company, comes in. Scott, you've seen some of that too.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, all over the place. And it was really hot back in the day when you couldn't find a rental either, which is still pretty hard to find. So you want to rent a single family home. There were groups that would come out and say, tell you what, you pick it. So we'll go out and we'll take a look at what's active. And they say, well, I love this house. Okay, great. We'll buy it for X. This would be your rent. You can do an end loan in 3 years and buy it. And then they'd move and do that. There was quite a bit of that going on. We were talking about kind of the show topic today, which is some of the kind of the major changes. And if you're listening on the radio, we'd love to hear your comments, or on social media, just some of the major changes over the last 15, 20 years in real estate, and what that's done to the industry itself, what it's done to, buyers and sellers and how they operate through it. The first one that came to mind for me, obviously, was the when the internet actually came in.
Yeah.
Because when I got in 1998, when I got into 1990,
Bryce is laughing
I know.
here.
You know, you would literally show 20, 30 homes to a client before they would buy a house. Now it's an average of about 4 or 5 because they didn't have access to it.
Right.
So you'd have to find out what they're looking for, take them out, you show them 10 houses. Okay, now I know what you're looking for. Then you go back and set them up because they didn't have any access to be able to guide you through the way. I think that was one of the biggest changes I've seen. What do you guys think?
Well, you're using a map book too.
Yes, that's,
So in
that's
other
right.
words,
The
you're
map
not,
book.
you don't have Apple, you know, you're not pulling things up on your phone. You don't have Waze.
The King's map book.
King's map book. So you're looking at it, trying to arrange your schedule. So then you're pulling out the map book. This is quadrant A4. And so then you have it. Okay, great. The other thing too is you always had to call the listing broker. Hi, this is Ryan. I'm with the Minnesota real estate team here. I want to show your listing, Edina Realty, on 9001 James Avenue tomorrow from 1 to 2. Leave a message
Yep.
or talk to the receptionist. They then call the seller. They then call you back, which now, again, everything we use Showing Time. It's just an app. Bryce, can you imagine that?
No, and I can't imagine Scott when the computers first came out because he doesn't even know how to use them today, let alone when they came out before.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I've had an assistant my whole career.
You did. You
Yeah.
had someone to.
I had an assistant once that she said, you know what, you can't even pull up one of our clients. I said, I can pull up a client quicker than anybody in this office. Shelby, pull up that client.
Oh man.
But it's true. But and the reason I was thinking about this is just how streamlined everything is, because Ryan's right. So again, let's say you're showing 20 homes. Instead of going to Showing Time and just click, you're 20.
And arranging
And
it on a map.
And it just automatically puts your best way to go in there. You'd have to call, wait for a call back. Oh, that doesn't work with the seller. You'd have to call again. So you would spend an hour to 2 hours just setting up 10 homes.
Yeah.
And then go into the offer situation. So now we're going to write an offer. We do it online enough to sign. I send it to Ryan. He's the buyer. He signs his purchase agreement with his iPhone, comes back. I package it up and send it over to the agent. Back then, you would write your offer with your buyer. If it's multiple offers, you would go stand in a driveway with 10 other agents, 10 o'clock at night, twiddling your thumbs. They'd come out. You go and present to the seller and the seller's agent. Then they'd excuse you. You'd go back to the driveway. Then they'd come out and say, oh, Scott, they're going to go with your offer. Great. Then you would drive over to your buyer's house at midnight because you don't have a signed contract.
Well, oftentimes you'd walk.
We'll walk. And both uphill, both ways. And you would get them they would get them to sign any initials that you have. Then you'd go over to the listing agent's house to get them to sign off because you don't have a contract until it's delivered.
Another big one, guys, is the advent of Zillow.
Yes.
Zillow came into the market and was not a real estate broker originally. They were just an internet company, and they had a dominating website that was taking the business from the brokers, from Coldwell Banker, Counselor Realty, Remax, Keller Williams. All these consumers that would go to those websites were now going to the Zillow website. And then what Zillow does is they say, hey, Bryce, you're a great agent. You work, you do a lot in Lakeville, South Metro. You can buy that business for $10,000 a month. You can buy these zip codes, and then we'll give you those leads. That's a huge change. Obviously, there's a lot of strong opinions all over the place regarding Zillow still to this day. But now they're a broker, actually, guys. They're actually a real estate broker, which is different. Thoughts?
So generous of Zillow to sell us.
Sell us back our information.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's from MLS is what they pull.
Sure.
Well, here's the biggest change, and Ryan knows this because the website that Ryan has, which in Google forever, for about a 5-year period, it was the race to make sure your website was ranked at the top of Google. And there was lots of ways you did this. And the website that Ryan has was always ranked, number 1, 2, or 3. Well, that was how you would promote leads to your people on your team. Then the big boys came in, Zillows of the world, Realtor.coms of the world, MLS Online still pretty competitive, and they've taken over that world. So instead of putting money at trying to rank your website in Google, you pay them to be a preferred agent. So when somebody responds to your listing,
Sure.
that lead, that person comes into you instead of getting sent out to outer space. That is a big change.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're going to continue the discussion. You're welcome to join us. We're talking about some changes to the industry over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You're welcome to join us here at any point, 612-294-6949. If you were a buyer, seller, investor, really anywhere in Minnesota or Western Wisconsin, the Minnesota Real Estate team has got a top agent in your neighborhood, in your community, wherever you might be listening to the show. We'd be honored to help you. We'll be back after the break. Zillow, that's a big one, guys.
It is. One thing that when you said King map books, because I'm like the most directionally challenged human being on the planet. So I swear to God, back in those days, it would normally be the husband, but I would just give him the map book and say, okay, you're the navigator, or else we're going to be doing this all day because I won't be able to find it.
You took your clients around in your car then?
Oh, you drove them then? That's another big change.
huge
I don't think I've had
in the car.
I don't think I've had a buyer in my car in 10 years. Where they were always in your car.
And that's because they were a relocation client. They flew in, I picked them up from the airport, and we went around looking at houses.
It's very common to have the person in the car with you. So you're talking, and it's interesting. There's some agents that would purposely like that because they felt they could kind of control they're like a car salesman.
Well,
almost,
yeah, because like I said, because you would normally go out and look at groups of housing. Now the first time you go out, you might look at, 5 to 8 houses, but then it's a onesie twosie, hey, this hit their search criteria. Let's go take a look at it. So you're always just meeting, at one house, or maybe you're meeting at 2. But yeah, back in the day, you'd spend 3-4 days putting them in your car, driving around, just trying to find out what they liked. Another thing, not real estate related, but kind of, we don't give directions anymore. You ever notice that? Because we've got, everybody's got
but it's still required in MLS.
Yeah,
on the listing.
But like my mom used to give directions. She would say, okay, you need to go to Cheryl's house. So go down Walnut Street. You're going to come to a gas station. Okay. So you'd write down, you'd write down gas station. Okay. Don't do anything. Just go straight through there. Okay, Mom, just tell me when I have to take a right. Okay. Then you're going to get to Walnut Street. Okay. Don't do anything there. Just drive through Walnut Street.
I had a friend from high school who worked for a company that originally, when they did that would drive in cars to notate.
To map it.
To map. Yeah, it was actually his job.
Oh,
Would you enjoy that, Bryce?
No, absolutely not. No way.
So what's interesting, Bryce again is a longtime police officer, and now how many years have you been in the industry?
5 years now.
So 5 years in the industry, and are you noticing anything more, with the South Metro? Any kind of hot tips, or like certain neighborhoods or communities, or anything with like the South Metro? You're like, gosh, people love this or this builder, or anything you're seeing or hearing in that capacity?
Well, Lakeville is still booming like crazy.
It is.
I mean, the amount of houses that they're putting up, and that's just because there's just the land's available, right? So they're not landlocked like a lot of other communities are, like your Apple Valley or your Egan, where there's just no more land to expand at all. And so that's why they're just growing like crazy, because there's just so much farmland in between Farmington and Lakeville in that area. And the school district's well known. The school district's really important to a lot of families. And so a lot of people are starting to kind of migrate that way. And I wouldn't say there's like any preferred builder per se. I think it really just depends on what exactly they're looking for when it comes to how much I can customize a home versus I just want something that I can move into and not have to make a lot of decisions.
Sure.
A Lennar versus like a Country Joe, where there's a huge difference in what you can pick and what you can't pick. So
what are you seeing with the national builders from a builder standpoint? Are they welcoming to agents? How is the feeling you have with builders in this market compared to maybe last year or the last couple of years?
Little weird. They're crawling back to agents.
Isn't that strange?
Isn't that so weird?
Talk about it.
Yeah, I just think that builders are finally figuring out, people are not quickly coming in and signing those purchase agreements, so they need us as agents to steer our clients to these builders and say, hey, this is a great builder, go work with them, they build a quality product. Well, builders for the last couple of years weren't taking care of real estate agents when it came to commissions and things like that, because the market was so hot that they figured we don't need you as agents. And so they offered less. And now that they need us, they're offering more. They want us to come back.
That's right. And kudos to some of them out there. I'll name them. D.R. Horton. They stayed true to
Yep.
paying out their 2.7
100%.
through the entire time.
Hmm.
Country Joe, same thing. Fieldstone.
Yeah.
Keyland is another one.
Yeah,
that did.
Keyland did.
Yeah.
And trust me, agents remember that. You know, and what this means is if the commission was supposed to be $18,000, these builders would cut it to like $9. You know,
Sure.
so it was just a horrible way to do
Sure.
business.
Right. Yeah, we're going back live on the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Love 105 FM. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope your weekend is going well. June 11th. This is a local real estate show. We're on Love 105 FM. And your social media, favorite social media channels. We're talking kind of a variety of topics today, mixing it up a little bit, talking about some of the changes over the real estate industry the last 10, 20, 30 years. And over the break, we were just talking about builders. And Bryce, you were saying in this market, builders are welcoming agents again. They are wanting agents to help them.
Yeah, I think a lot of builders are kind of feeling the slowdown as well in the market, as far as, you know, people aren't breaking down the door, trying to go and build a house with the interest rates at where they are at now compared to where they were a couple of years ago. So a couple of years ago, you know, a lot of builders that are out there, mostly a few national builders for the most part, a few local ones as well, decided, hey, look, real estate agents, we really don't need you to bring your clients in because they're knocking down our door wanting to come in and build with us. But now that the market kind of has been shifting a little bit, now they're welcoming us back with their open arms, saying, hey, come back to us, bring your clients to us. We want to work with them, and we'll incentivize you for doing so.
Well, and it was just what had happened, you know, for the last 3 years is they would reduce their commission. A lot of builders, and I was saying at the break, the D.R. Hortons of the world, Country Joe, Fieldstone, Keyland, all these builders continued to reach out and work with agents and pay them their fair share of the commission. And agents remember that. And there's a lot of builders, and some of the bigger ones that, let's say it was a $900,000 house, so your commission would be around $26,000, and they would pay a $9,000 straight fee. And they were doing it because they know there was enough pressure from the buyer to still want to go there.
Sure.
And what they don't understand is that it puts everybody in a bad situation. One, the buyer's under contract with their agent, typically to pay the difference between whatever commission and a 2.7%. The majority of agents that are going to, you know, go after their buyer for the difference in that commission no one's going to do that. And so it basically just kind of screwed the agents over. And I mean, I've got notes. Tell you what, a lot of agents do.
Scott, are you learning to be on a Sunday morning to be more forgiving?
I'm very forgiving. I still have notes though.
Hey, Bryce, we were talking about writing offers. It probably took an hour originally. You write an offer right now, you get a call from a customer right after the radio show. How long, realistically, does it take you to put the offer together?
10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Tops. Yeah.
And you're emailing it, so you're doing it on your laptop,
Yep.
in your vehicle,
Right.
wherever you are. 10 minutes, you have a fully done purchase agreement, sending it to your client. Boom, done.
Yeah. And now I don't even write it at all.
Hmm.
So I have an assistant that's
Right.
able to write that for me. So
Sure.
it's as easy as filling out like a 30-second form on my form and goes over to her, and she
Sure.
puts it together and sends it back to me and says, is this accurate? And boom, it's out. She
Yeah.
sends it.
The other thing about Zillow, just and a variety of people, again, especially when the market is really good, they value the realtor, the real estate broker, less because, again, they say, hey, the market's so busy. And so with Zillow, for example, and we see it a lot with people that if they're for sale by owner, they only will list on Zillow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's kind of an interesting phenomena. That's one other aspect. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the for sale by owners have been around forever, and they used to could only put them in the newspaper back in the day.
Sure.
And then they were able to do
Or
these
Craigslist.
or Craigslist. then they had access to MLS with there was a bunch of different ones, but basically help you sell and so on, where you were kind of putting it online to sell it on your own. And the success and their price per listing was still exceptionally low. So it's never made sense. It's it'll always be around. But I remember back in the day, you would go on the paper and you'd look at the for sale by owners, and then you would go out and knock on the door. And I would do like a full analysis for them, give them brochures, everything on their house to use.
Sure.
And then I would just say, if for some reason it doesn't work out with you, I'd love to, love to work with you. And I got a lot of listings that way because they don't sell.
Yeah. Bryce.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the thing where the for sale by owners are at a disadvantage of is they just don't have the marketing tools that we have access to. And
Yeah.
really, that's what it boils down to. Our job is to market the home, get people in through the door. Obviously, the market conditions determine what price is going to be offered. And so our job is just simply to get the people there. And when you're a for sale by owner, you just don't have all those resources. So you're losing a lot of traffic. And typically that's why they're not able to sell.
Yeah. And I've always said the difference between $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 on your listing comes down to your agent at the end. And what I mean by that, especially in a multiple offer situation, there's a skill set of how you set that up, when you market the property, when it goes in, when you're going to look at offers, how you respond to the buyer's agents that are writing offers. Because again, your job is to get the most for the seller. And so if I was interviewing agents, I would ask them, okay, in a multiple offer situation, what do you do? What's your policy?
Sure.
How do you follow up with the agents? How do you let them know that we've got higher offers so they could change? And that's kind of where where the rubber hits the road for most listing agents.
Yeah, I think we're talking kind of major changes over the years, with the real estate industry. Bryce, it's probably, I'm just thinking too, again, you've done so well, in a 5-year period, and I think maybe not a change, but just a common thing, I think, is just the ups and downs of the business. There's always one year it could be just the best market ever. And then the next year is, wow, what's going on here? There's so many external forces that affect the business. And that's hard for everyone in the industry because they feel like, well, I'm working really hard. I've been doing the same thing I did, but I'm making half the income. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I think for agents, you just kind of have to adjust to what the market is at that time. So, back in 2008, 2009, there was lots of foreclosures and short sales and things like that. So if you wanted to succeed in the business, you better know how to do foreclosures and short sales.
Right.
That's right.
And so when you are now into this type of market, obviously with low inventory, you better be able to get listings in order to survive the market as an agent. And
Yeah.
so you need to do what you can in order to market yourself properly to show sellers why you're the best agent to sell their house. And those are the agents that are going to succeed in this type of market.
Yeah, the other thing I was just thinking about, just even terminology. So now it's very, very common that we call for what's called highest and best. Okay, so we've got 10 offers. We're going to look at highest and best on Sunday at 7:00. That was never a thing. 8 years ago, during the crash, 2007, 2008, that's when it came out because banks use that. We're going to call for highest and best on this property. You put your highest and best offer and the bank would sign off on it. And now we use that as real estate agents. And it's a little misleading because highest and best does not mean that if your offer is the highest and the best, that we're going to take it. But that's, that is how people think, especially buyers. They're like, well, wait a minute, highest and best, don't they just have to take it? No, highest and best just means bring your highest and best offer and then we'll navigate through them.
Yeah, you're throwing your hat in the ring.
Yep.
We are throwing it to a break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us throughout the week. After the break, we're going to touch on a few listings featured. I know Bryce has some nice ones, as well as with the team. And Scott, we're going to be talking about those as well. We'll be back after the break. Highest and best. Yeah.
I had an agent say to me the other day, it's funny you mentioned that. They're like, I had mentioned to them, I said, will you be calling for highest and best? And they said to me, I don't call for highest and best. I just call for best offers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's because a best offer to a seller may not be the highest price either. You know, it could
Yeah,
be a
that
closing date or
you're
whatever
right.
it might be.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
terminology just got kind of enveloped into our our verbiage because of the bank on time, because that's the only time the highest and best was even said. I never heard it before that.
Well, and for fellow agents listening, watching, what was really hard about that time period is you would put the offer in on the bank owned listing, and it could be a day, a 2, 4 days, a week before you hear a response.
That's right.
So now people freak out if they don't hear back, even, same day. Hey, what's going on? Well, back then, again, it could have been a long time that you're waiting with your buyer. So it's the changes of the business. There's always changes.
Well, another interesting thing, and Ryan and I were cracking up about this a couple of years ago. Well, and for the most part, if you've been doing this for 5 years, you've really not seen a slow market. I mean, it's been slower, but especially the last 3 years. And so
2018, 2019.
that's
were a
right,
little
where
bit
it kind of
slower,
came back.
yeah.
And where agents will, like, their house will be on for a week and it's not sold, and they'll call and say, what's going on, which is kind of funny for us that have been doing it for so long, because my God, a week is nothing. We used to be, be 90 days, 120 days. And but a lot of these agents have not seen a little bit of a slowdown in the market. So when they put their home on Friday and they don't have 10 offers on Sunday, they lose their mind because something's wrong.
How about this for a change? It seems like listings always go on. It's weekend work. Thoughts on that? The weekend versus listing on a Monday, a Tuesday.
Yeah, I personally, I am not 100% sold on getting it on like on a Thursday or a Friday. Right now in this market, I actually prefer to get it on earlier in the week so that it gets exposure prior to the weekend, so that people have time to actually find it, see it, and schedule their showings for the weekend. When it was going on a Thursday when the market was hot, yeah, showings were stacking up like crazy. But now that it's slowing down, it's better. I think it's better to get it on a little bit earlier in the week.
Yeah, I'm. This is personally for me. I don't think that there's really any advantage to it other than I just like this. I put the majority of my listings on coming soon Wednesday and active on Friday, and so I have 2 days before we get to the weekend to be able to analyze the numbers to see, do we make sense?
Right.
Do we have 20 people that saved it as a favorite? What are our numbers look like? So then and also, do we have showings starting to stack on Friday? And if we do, we know we're in good shape. Versus, do I have to make a price adjustment prior to us even going on?
One change too is the over or allowing multiple people in the home at one time.
Yes.
Showing.
Yes.
That's a change. You see that a lot, Bryce?
Yeah, and
Where there's like 8 people in the home.
that's obviously slowed down quite a bit
Yeah.
with the showing activity, but the lower price points, that's still happening a lot. There's still multiple agents going through at the same time.
I don't ever remember that.
No,
Where
God,
you
it was-
had your own set time to view the home.
and it was always an hour.
sure.
And then, beginning of last year, it went to the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody had 15 minutes to get in, and there were overlapping. I had one that was in Lakeville Schools in Farmington. We had 126 showings in 2 days. I mean, it was like a graduation party the whole time people were in there.
Hey, we're going back live on air, Love 105 FM. Thanks for joining us on social media. Hope your weekends, excuse me, hope your weekend's going well. Don't hesitate to comment with any thoughts or questions that you have, and we're going back live on air. Welcome back to the final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is going well. Wanted to touch on a couple featured listings. Mr. Joe Mack with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and Remax Advantage Plus. He has one in Carver, 786 Riesgraf Road in Carver. He's got an open house today, Sunday, 1 to 3 o'clock. This is listed at $525,000. It's 5-bed, 4-bath. And it's got many wonderful features. Joe said a main floor office, dining, living, sitting room, 5 generous sized bedrooms, including 4 on the upper level. Scott, this one has a laundry chute.
Love shoots.
You love the laundry chute. It's got a new furnace along with a tankless water heater. Lots of updates, updated kitchen, paint, flooring, a fenced in yard, maintenance free deck. 525, again, 786, 525,000. 786 Reesgraff Road in Carver. It's open house today, Sunday, 1 to 3. And then the other one, guys, Mr. Brian Amundson has one in Lakeville, 20718 Hartford Way in Lakeville, listed at $565,000. It is beautifully maintained, move-in ready, 2-story. It is, it's got 4-bed, 4-bath, updated hardwood and ceramic flooring, upgraded kitchen, new quartz countertops, dishwasher, fridge, expanded mudrooms, lighting updates, new concrete driveway. 565,000, Bryce. That's 20718 Hartford Way. You've seen that one, haven't you?
I have seen that property. Brian's a outstanding agent, does a phenomenal job. Former teacher, great guy.
He's a good man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good man. You got one too there, Bryce, don't you?
I do. I want to share one at 9886 Anawanda Path in Inver Grove Heights. It's listed for 725,000, 4-bed, 3-bath. It's a Rambler, 2,800 square feet. This property is really unique in the fact that it's got 5 acres right in the city of Inver Grove Heights. You just don't find that very often. With a 72 by 40 pole barn.
Oh, nice.
So it's just got a lot of great features. Over $100,000 in updates to the home. So very much move-in ready and ready for that new owner to come in.
Very cool. Very cool. Right now, Bryce, you've got listings. Name the different cities where you've got some listings.
I've got one in Cannon Falls. I've got one, obviously, there in Inver Grove Heights, Zimmerman. So just closed one in Osceola, Wisconsin. So yeah, I'm traveling all over the place and licensed in Florida too. So
You are licensed in
yeah,
Florida.
for those listening to the show, we do have a few agents. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Another agent on our team, Brian Vantoff, is also licensed in Florida. So we're able to help out folks that want to go down there.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I would say what's common, and maybe this isn't a huge change, Scott. Wouldn't you say most agents that succeed at a really high level are generalists in the sense that they work a lot of the area? What Bryce just described is he's got a lot of closings all over the Twin Cities and Western Wisconsin. There are some really, really good agents with all of the companies in the Twin Cities, Edina, Coldwell Banker, that are the neighborhood people.
That's right.
But that is I would say a super mature type of business and very rare in our industry. Most of your really top agents are generalists.
I was going to say that's probably one of the biggest changes over the last 20 years that I've been in. It was asked all the time, where's your office and what area do you work in? Meaning that if I have a house in Mendota Heights, I want you to either live in Mendota Heights or West St. Paul because you know the area you can respond quickly to and so on.
Sure.
With the internet and broker reciprocity, which you have access to, everybody has access to all information. Now the consumer has access to all information. That's gone away quite a bit. Because I list homes from Minnetonka to the other side of the planet, Woodbury. I mean, it just depends on where it's at, and you can effectively do that now. And especially with the advent of the teams, for example, on our team, if for some reason somebody wants to see one of my listings in 20 minutes and I'm in Minnetonka and the listing's in Woodbury, we just put a little blast out to our teams. Can somebody do this in the next 20 minutes? And someone will take it.
Right.
So you can always get in real time. That's another big change.
I definitely agree with you, Scott. But one thing I'll say that I think is super important about agents today, and for those agents that are listening to, is still knowing that area, because you're not only selling a house, you're selling a lifestyle too. And that's important to a lot of people when they're buying a home. So know where the closest grocery stores are and how far they need to commute to get to point A to point B. And I know the internet helps out with that, but when you're in real time viewing a house, like if I want to tell a client that I'm showing a house to, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee over here at this coffee shop because it's phenomenal and you'll really love this place. Like being able to kind of know the area a little bit and know what type of lifestyle somebody's getting into is important too.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And for anybody that's ever been out there that has bought a lake home, Minnesota, what you call them our lake homes, that is important to you because I've done it a few times. And if you meet with an agent and you start asking about this lake or that lake, and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure about that. Not really sure. You're like, oh, that's not what I want. I mean, I want someone that knows.
Yeah.
And so I think that is still, I think you're right. I think that still is built in, especially in the areas of Minneapolis. There are street to street differences in Minneapolis that are major value differences in houses. So having someone that understands that, knows that is important.
Yeah, and again, someone that's been out, is in the community, knows a lot of those different the restaurants, the vibe, whatever it might be. 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us again at the Minnesota Real Estate Show or throughout the week. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, you're interested in buying, selling, investing in real estate, relocating. Bryce, what's cool too, I'll mention from an investment standpoint, you got into the investment world and you've got a building, apartment building and you're managing that, right?
Yeah, I self-manage it for right now, and I'm slowly building that portfolio. But yeah, I have an 8-unit building that I self-manage and take care of most of the things and fill in vacancies and repairs and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Have you had to evict a tenant?
Luckily, the ones that I've asked to leave have left, so
Okay.
I haven't had to have that issue yet, which is really nice.
You're a good landlord. You know what I mean? You're organized, you're dialed in, and you're willing to just set the boundaries.
Just jumping right in head first.
Scott?
I'm the worst landlord in the world.
Yes, not a good
I'm
landlord.
not a good landlord. I used to own 3 preschools. It was a labor of love, but my accounts receivable were so high because parents couldn't pay, and I'd let them stay, and all of a sudden now you're 6 weeks behind, and so I was the same way when I had a rental property.
Start calling you the Ryan of Davis.
I know. I'm the same way.
Don't
no
worry.
problem.
Yeah, you'll catch up. You'll catch up. Yeah. So no,
Hey,
it was not good.
Guys, we're at the home stretch of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Bryce, it's been awesome having you on. Thoughts for people, buyers, sellers, investors in this market as we head into the summer?
Still a fantastic time to sell. I mean, obviously with inventory levels as low as they are, it's a great time to sell. And likewise with buying, I mean, prices are only going to continue to rise. So get out there, go find your home. Interest rates may be higher now, but utilize that opportunity at a later time to then refinance and get a better deal now.
Yeah, second best sellers market we've ever had. I mean, that's what it boils down to. The first 4 months of last year was the best ever. And this is second, so it's still an incredible time. Real quickly, I'm doing an open on one of my listings in Burnsville, 27 Geneva today, $699.9 from 12 to 1. So come out and see us. It's an executive rambler, acre lot, backs up to a pond. 5-bedroom, 4-bath, $699.9.
Where? What's the address?
27 Geneva Boulevard in Burnsville.
How long has that been on the market?
That has been on the market for 3 weeks. We just had a price reduction and interest. And that's what we were talking about earlier. It's you get right to where you're in line, and then all of a sudden you've got a lot of interest. You start pushing that envelope just a little bit, and it'll sit.
Do you have a map book to help you get there?
I do have a map book. I turn my GPS off. The map books were crazy.
They were crazy.
Well, and then this is a side note. So when the GPS systems first came out, I didn't know that you had to put the house number in there. So I would just put like Walnut Street, Edina, and then it would take me to Walnut Street, and I'd be like, well, the house isn't even near here. And it was months before I knew you had to put the house number in.
Oh man, we are. You can tell we've been on the air for a while talking with this show topic. If you are listening and you're thinking, "Hey, this would be a fun one to have," please don't hesitate to ever reach out. Bryce, for people interested, want to talk to you as an agent, best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, phone or email is the best way. So 651-302-4812, or you can reach me by email at Bryce, BRYCE, at BryceRealEstate.com.
Love your new video you did too. Super
Very
cool.
cool.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, love it. Just a way for to introduce myself out to people.
Yeah, check it out, Bryce Schenke on Instagram or Facebook. A really cool video. Scott, we got to do one of those for you, young man.
I don't do videos anymore. Well, I was going to say the other big change.
You're photogenic.
I'm not photogenic. The other big change is Facebook. Obviously, that's changed. That's changed real estate probably more than anything in the last five years.
Yeah, it's a good one too. Hey, great show, guys. It's been fun again throughout the week. 612-294-6949. Appreciate you joining us here. It's been June 11th. Congrats to all the grads out there for its graduation party season. Moms and dads, grandpas and grandpas, and all the graduates. We're going to be back here again next week. Big thanks to JoJo again here from Love 105 FM for helping us every Sunday morning coming in to do the show. So enjoy the rest of this weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us on social media. Bryce, thanks for coming on today, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Scott, good job, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, everybody.
We'll be back next weekend. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the warm weather. Take care.